The devil is my servant, evil energy is my power, shadows and flames accompany me, and I am a sorcerer. A sorcerer walks in the world of Marvel. No system, rely on yourself, young man. Welcome to join the Warlock Book Friends group in Marvel World, group number 177873494. Keywords of the novel. Marvel World Warlocks. No pop-ups. Download the complete collection of Marvel World Warlocks TXT, and read the latest chapters of Marvel World Warlocks. 1. Chapter 1, Aren't there any sorcerers around? I wear more and more. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1, Aren't there any sorcerers around? I wear more and more. Visually, there are no sorcerers around. I opened a box, and Ouya has produced an orange. Open a group in the Great Secret Realm, touch the orange team, don't disturb the sorcerers. As usual, Li Ming returned to his apartment after work, had a simple dinner, opened the computer, and started playing the game he had been playing for 6 years, World of Warcraft. Then he saw these messages and burst into tears. There's nothing he can do. His Warcraft profession is Sugar Gate Roll. No, it's a warlock. Since Glass Shard opened the Legion's Adventure expansion pack and added a mechanism for randomly picking up orange gear. The deafening war drums once again resounded between the European Emperor and the African chieftains. But this has nothing to do with him, because the sorcerer has become the existence of the Pope of Africa. There have also been rumors that the sorcerer will never have an orange in his lifetime, and that an orange will not grow within a radius of 100 yards. So Li Ming hasn't been able to play a dungeon for a long time. Even random heroes and the other 4 teammates will instantly retreat. Without creating dungeons, equipment cannot be improved and artifacts cannot be upgraded. Finally, Li Ming gritted his teeth and decided to consume the golden ball. However, Boss, do you have any needs? Our team specializes in producing 1.15 layers of the Great Secret Realm, various epic group books. Godlike enjoyment, at the same price as cabbage. What are you, a sorcerer? Sorry, boss, your fees need to be doubled. After contacting the team named The Space Vehicle Never Fails, Li Ming explained his request and negotiated the price. However, after revealing his profession, he received such a response. Alright, I have something to do temporarily, Li Ming replied calmly before hanging up YY. Then he took off his black-framed glasses with a trembling left hand. This is discrimination. Suddenly, he slammed his glasses onto the table and roared loudly. It turns out that it's like this, even though they're not up to it themselves, they say I'm hindering their European style. What kind of thing are they? League books, epic books, hero books, all reject sorcerers, and now even the consumption fund group has to double their rewards. These shameless and promiscuous people, may they be buried in the black soil of Black Africa and never get orange clothes, even if they just take a glance. Ah! Originally, he was still venting hysterically, as imposing as a 43-year-old leader, but suddenly let out a scream. It turned out that he had just been dancing his hands and feet, and his excessive movements touched the fresh orange he had placed on his computer desk, resulting in an electric shock. Then, The next day, it has been dry and dry recently. Residents are advised to use electricity with caution. This is him, Li Ming's last echo in this world. Li Ming came to an end, but his consciousness or soul did not disappear. After an unknown amount of time and almost impossible coincidences, he came to another world and became attached to a baby boy who had just frozen to death at the entrance of an orphanage. And just as he possessed himself, he was discovered and carried away by the nuns in the orphanage. This baby boy grew up healthy under the care of an orphanage, and Li Ming's memory remained dormant until he woke up after a dream at the age of 14. After daydreaming for an hour, Li Ming felt like he had traveled through time. However, he has already lived in this world for 14 years, so he does not have that sense of strangeness or discord. After organizing the memories that became chaotic due to past life awakening, I found out. Firstly, he is in the United States, and secondly, he can no longer be called Li Ming, but rather Evanson. Richter. He is a German orphan with blonde hair and blue eyes, who grew up in an orphanage. In that case, it's better to call him Evanson Richter in the future. He accepted the change of his name frankly, but the reason is not to say goodbye to his past self, but simply because his current registered residence, ID card, and a series of insurance are registered in this way, and he can't explain that a white German who grew up in an American orphanage will have a Chinese name. Except for his ears, which are not that sharp and long, he's just a blood elf. Evanson sighed at his current appearance as he stood in front of the mirror. His current appearance is different from other Germanic people. Firstly, his facial features need to be more delicate, and then his eyes have a darker color, which is more green. Overall, it's pretty good. Evanson is quite satisfied with his current appearance. After all, he is a handsome young man. He dares to bet that with his current appearance, going to the supermarket will definitely get the cashier to give him 2 bottles of soy sauce. After determining one's current identity in still being a male or female lover, with a decent appearance, Elson began to daydream. After all, he had traveled through time. It's understandable to get a little excited. Since it's time to travel, I should have a system now, such as Grandpa, Artifact Spirit, Ancient Demon King, and so on, Evanson thought seriously. According to Zhao Ritian, Long Outyan, Yi Liangchen, and other conscientious predecessors in the industry of crossing boundaries, as well as the serious legends left behind by them, such as the documentary manuscripts of XX Against Heaven, XX I Am the King, and XX Crosses the XX Realm, which can be regarded as guides for crossing boundaries, he should have something systematic, and with his help, he will reach the pinnacle of life, win a lot of wealth and beauty, and become a winner in life. He even thought of a pseudonym for his future career, so he called it Doragon. Proud Sky. However, ideals are full, but reality is very bony, and sometimes it may even be a case of a white-bone spirit. After trying a series of standard postures such as meditation in the mind, sitting on the ground, facing the sky with 5 hearts, and performing challenging yoga movements, no response was found. Then he tried again, cursing and talking nonsense in his heart, which was a non-mainstream summoning method, but it was not very effective. Alas, it seems that fate is not with me, and I am satisfied with being able to live a lifetime again. After the summoning system failed, Evanson decided to accept his fate, but just as he was looking up at a 45-degree angle to pretend to be forced, a thought suddenly appeared in his mind. He had a personal space and immediately mastered the usage method. Waha, my fate is determined by the heavens. I know I'm going against the heavens. What kind of ghost am I, Chow? Just when Evanson felt that with the addition of his fate, he might soon be able to go against the heavens, God gave this guy who always wanted to push himself backwards a heavy punch. At the moment Evanson opened his personal space, a note immediately fell out. I don't know what material it is made of, but it gives people a very awesome feeling, thinking that the other person is either a true god or a pope, or thrown into the square. There will definitely be an ignorant girl screaming and fainting that character. However, the content written above, we solemnly declare that this time travel is a lucky draw gift package for our foundation in XX year, and it is definitely not an experimental accident. The travel service and related benefits have been distributed in one go, and please check them in the personal space of the travelers. Additionally, we solemnly declare that our foundation will not accept any complaints or returns. If you have the ability, come and bite me. Philia void business, these 2 words are smeared, foundation. Looking at the instruction manual of this cunning father, Evanson was speechless as he looked up at the sky. But he should first take a look at what's in his personal space, maybe there will be an old master. Then he realized that this was his sorcerer backpack. Damn it, some after-sale service, it was just his own thing. 1,000 gold coins. I knew I wouldn't buy point cards from auction houses anymore, otherwise it would be 200,000 gold coins. Azeroth National Geographic is a map that can zoom in and out of all parts of Azeroth, including Outlands, Draenor, and the newly emerged Broken Archipelago. However, just looking at it is of no other use. The Azeroth Million Treasure Encyclopedia contains a guidebook of all things with names and surnames that have appeared in Azeroth, but just to see, it has no other purpose. Looking at these two mischievous things, Evanson seemed to be summoned in the dark. He heard the will of the universe and solemnly said, "The reputation of the Philia merchant group resounds through the void, and it is not just a false reputation." P.S. The Philia Void Consortium comes from the novel The Empire of Helium. Interested readers can take a look, starting from the second volume. P.S. May the people of the Dark Sorcerers be buried underground in the black soil of sub-Saharan Africa. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Three Divine Tools of King Dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The Three Divine Tools of King Dad. I casually put the two picture books back into my personal space and continued to read. Next is the highlight. Booyah, it's a divine artifact, it's 3 divine artifacts, it's my sorcerer's 3 divine artifacts. Pain. Yuzars. Windward Reaper, a giant sickle. Destruction. Sargera's scepter, a wand. Demonic knowledge. The head of the fallen, a skull, and a dagger with a modified spine. These 3 artifacts can be said to be rampant in the game. After all, $1 million master has one. However, if placed in the real world, it is definitely a great killing weapon. Compared to ordinary epic equipment, it is like a small pistol, encountering RPGs, and of course, it may also be Scud, depending on the user's abilities. Evanson's evaluation of this is, damn it. Artifacts are good things that many people dream of, but sorcerer artifacts are no longer included in this category. To be honest, Warlock is a profession that is particularly obsessed with power, so this profession has had many villains, such as the famous Gul'dan. Yenzu, it can be guaranteed that no sorcerer can remain calm after discovering the 3 artifacts, but absolutely no sorcerer dares to directly hold the artifact in their hand. Usually, reckless ghosts who dare to do so either have their souls directly drained by the artifact or burned to ashes. In a better situation, you will be controlled by the artifact and become its servant, using you instead of using it. Only those powerful sorcerers and masters, whose spiritual world is steadfast like the wall of eternal sighs, dare to say that they can fully master the 3 divine tools. So, looking at the 3 artifacts lying in his personal space, Evanson felt a mischievous aura rushing towards him. Because even if they are used, they dare not take them out of their personal space. If he really wants to take it out, Yuzars will instantly harvest all the life within at least 1 kilometer of the nearby area. Not to mention humans, he probably won't even leave microorganisms behind. The Sargera's scepter will chisel through twisted holes in the void, and shadows and malevolent flames will blow up the entire neighborhood. The head of the fallen will bewitch the wise beings here, making them submit to him, and then open the portal to the demon space. If all of them were taken out at once, this world could play GG. It's better to just throw yourself on the nuclear reactor and roll around when you touch these things now. Move your attention away from those 3 amazing things that are not even for human use. Evanson discovered the last thing in his personal space, a black book. The runes on the cover of this book, either evil or blasphemous, have a creepy, soft and smooth texture to the touch. I hope it's not human skin, and I won't peel off my skin while reading. Evanson muttered to himself as he recognized the symbols on the cover, realizing that he didn't recognize any of the text on it, but he could clearly understand its meaning. This was a communication on a spiritual level. The cover reads, Complete Works of Warlocks and Spells. Well, the name is quite, and direct, but is it not good to call it the Book of the Dead, the Book of Darkness, the Devil's Book and so on, roast about the name in the same style as the XX dictionary. Evanson began to study the use of the book. Shouting your name, no response. Double-click on the book cover, no response. Do you want to shed blood to acknowledge the master? Biting his teeth and cutting through his finger, he dripped blood on it, but still didn't react. "I'm Chow, it's not a useless thing, is it? What kind of welfare is this? What is this Baibao doing? The book is for reading, doesn't he know?" Just as Evanson was going crazy, he heard the above conversation, which was ringing directly in his mind. He looked into his own space and found that the head of the fallen was staring at him, while his fleshless skull seemed to have a smile on it, while Sorcerers, with his huge blade, reflected a demonic red light. "Of course, if you find reading troublesome, we can personally teach you as long as ... Before he could finish speaking, Evanson suddenly closed the space and his voice naturally stopped. It seemed that they couldn't penetrate this spatial barrier. I knew, these things, the wizard's artifact is not that simple, I almost agreed to it. After closing the space, Evanson gasped for breath, and cold sweat almost flowed from head to toe. How could a sorcerer's artifact be simple? They are alive, they have souls. Among these three artifacts, only Sargeraz's scepter is soulless, while the other two, the head of the fallen, was called Sargeras during his lifetime. He was the first Aridar to study demon power and a mentor to Archimonde. Sorcerers. The Windward Reaper imprisons the fear demon Keng, the soul of Sorcerers, who dares to challenge the fallen titan Sargeras. They have killed more than one master, and as ordinary humans now, they come into contact with these 2,000-year-old pitfalls, ensuring that they are eaten and wiped clean in seconds. Just now, Evanson almost made a devilish attempt to agree to their proposal to teach him magic. Joking, asking them to teach him, taking away his soul is definitely the lightest consequence. After this lesson, before becoming a sorcerer master, I will never have any communication with these 1,000-year-old pitfalls. As for the level of Master Warlock, I'll let you know when you reach level 98. However, those two old pitfalls also reminded him that books are meant for reading, and that he had just been careful. It seems that time travel novels are quite harmful to oneself. Isn't this still a pit, Dad? Opening the book, on the first page, Evanson had just looked at the table of contents and fiercely threw the book on the ground, cursing loudly. 3 years of spell casting, 5 years of simulation, 100 volumes of sea boating exercises. I'll wipe it off. Is this learning magic or advanced mathematics? However, when it comes to cursing, it's worth watching and watching. Fortunately, these things can be learned. As long as you persist in doing 30 exercises every day, you can really learn magic in no time. After a period of time, you can become a sorcerer, deal with demons in the twisted void, trade some knowledge and power, and kidnap one or two to become a baby. Although I think so, I still feel nauseous as I look at the 3-year spell casting and 5-year simulated sea boating in my hand. If I had worked so hard in my past life, maybe I would have been admitted to a prestigious university, obtained a high degree, and then become a CEO, chairman, and won the white wealth and beauty, becoming a winner in my life. It seems that knowledge is power, and this famous saying is not empty talk. But it's okay. If you didn't work hard in your previous life, then work hard in this life. And this is not as simple as attending a prestigious university. It's magic, magic. Evanson thought to himself, and couldn't help but think of City of XX and City Legend of XX in his mind, names such as Premium XX and X.Flower. After Evanson finished his YY, he realized that it was already morning and it was time for breakfast soon. So, full of ambition, he pushed open the door and headed towards a new world. However, the new world smashed him into a capital letter of confusion with overwhelming force. For those interested in the appearance of the 3 divine tools, you can search for pictures on Douyin. Very handsome. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Passing Dream of Pride. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Passing Dream of Pride. Evanson arrived at the cafeteria, which was nothing special as usual, but there were two posters pasted on the walls, one commemorating the XX year of the World Anti-***** War. This is normal, after all, World War II was too brutal, so it's not surprising to commemorate it. But the other poster shocked Evanson beyond measure. On that poster is a man wearing tight-fitting clothing, mainly featuring the American flag and a blue star stripe. And he also holds a round shield with a blue background and a red circle, and a large 5-pointed star in the middle. Upon seeing the portrait on the poster, Evanson felt uneasy and looked up at the title, confirming his thoughts even more. The title is, Commemorating the XX Year Since the Passing of Captain America, with a small line below. Veterans never die, may freedom and glory be with you. Captain America, it's Captain America, how could this be? Evanson muttered in a daze, then he finished breakfast and returned to his own room. He covered his face with both hands and buried his head in his knees. Seriously recalling my memories from 14 years in this world. Through recollection, he realized that it was indeed not a prank, and there was indeed an impression of Captain America in his memory, but he didn't notice it at first. Captain America Steve Rogers, the only successful case of the U.S. government's super soldier program during World War II, led his special team to charge into battle and achieved great success. In the end, he crushed the evil organization Hydra's plan and died alongside its leader, Red Skull. It is regarded as a symbol of American spirit and the greatest hero since the founding of the United States. This is Evanson's memory of Captain America, as well as the official propaganda of the U.S. government. But according to past life memories, Captain America has not died yet, and he should still be holding the cosmic cube frozen under the ice. However, through this incident, Evanson finally understood the essence of this world. This is not the United States that I knew in my past life, but the United States of Marvel World. Alas, his dreams have already shattered before they even started, Evanson lamented. He had originally planned to emulate many predecessors who had crossed the world and come up with a XX of America, but the cruel reality shattered many of his dreams in just one breakfast. Because this is Marvel World. This world can be summarized in one word as a pit, just like Azeroth. Not to mention those who have been hidden behind the scenes, but are estimated to have the strength to compete with sorcerers, as well as those who are called gods in the 9 kingdoms of Asgard. Just talking about the strength on Earth is enough to make people shudder. The Hulk, who can play with the evil god Loki like a yo-yo ball, and the Iron Man, who is invincible and flying everywhere, think about these things. Evanson really doesn't think he has anything special. Of course, Captain America is still under the ice, the Hulk is still playing hide and seek with his father. Law, Iron Man has not yet been born, and Thor is still fighting monsters in Asgard. But what about the almost ubiquitous and indifferent Divine Shield Bureau? This is a behemoth, and can be considered the pinnacle of secular power. Walking on the street, I don't know where a feather arrow shot by an eagle's eye will fly over. Take a sip of water, and heaven knows if there is any poison inside. It is a poison that can kill more than 10 people with just a drop dropped by our common lover, the Black Widow. Or, to put it another way, as soon as I woke up in the morning, I found a large group of fully armed American soldiers, carrying long guns and short cannons, squatting at my doorstep. These things, as long as you want to become dragon proud, go around fighting monsters, upgrading, killing, and looting, make the Divine Shield Bureau feel that you are an unstable factor in world peace, it is completely possible to happen. As for actively joining the Divine Shield Bureau. Okay, considering that you have some special abilities, we allow you to join. Then you will receive training to become a formal agent. You will have the corresponding authority and be subject to the supervision and orders of the Divine Shield Bureau. What? Do you want to talk to Iron Man, Tony? Like Stark? Joke, you grew up in an orphanage without any relatives or social status, and you deserve to negotiate terms with the Divine Shield Bureau. Either be an honest agent or go to the laboratory to be tested. As for saying that you know the future, it requires special treatment. That would be even better. As long as you confirm that your skills are true, you will be locked up on the 100th floor underground, in a room made entirely of Xinjin, and there will be at least one armored brigade guarding outside. It is estimated that there will also be a nuclear bomb buried underneath to prevent any uncontrollable consequences from happening. Then you will spend the rest of your life in this room, speaking out everything you know every day under the detection of 100 sets of lie detection equipment. People without level 8 permissions probably don't know about your existence, and those without level 10 permissions can't meet you. You still want to run around and dream of your dreams. Don't think that if the Divine Shield Bureau is a positive organization, it will be kind like the Virgin Mary. In their brains where rational logic outweighs personal emotions, human life is just addition and subtraction. They don't care about sacrificing you for a happy world. If you don't believe it, you can take a look at the situation of those superheroes. Captain America, he has always been obedient to orders from the Divine Shield Agency, and as a soldier, he is also accustomed to obeying orders. The War Machine, I am a colonel of the Air Force and belong to the United States military. Black Widow and Hawkeye, they themselves are senior agents working in the Divine Shield Bureau. These are under the control of the Divine Shield Bureau or the military, while the remaining ones. The Hulk, the US military was beaten up by him, and whenever he gets angry, it's like a block. Thor, the god of thunder, is equally powerful as the Hulk and difficult to deal with. Moreover, he himself is the Crown Prince of Asgard, which could potentially trigger an interstellar war. Iron Man Tony Stark himself is a world-renowned billionaire, scientist, and philanthropist, which is not an easy identity to move. Although Tony can evade, he will still cooperate with the Divine Shield. Most importantly, he has great skills. My father is Howard. Do you see that those who are not impressive enough are already working in the Divine Shield Bureau or the military? Those who are not skilled in the Divine Shield Bureau either have a significant status in the world and have already cooperated with the Divine Shield Bureau in various aspects, such as Iron Man. Either it's impressive in terms of strength, or even more impressive in the background, such as Thor. Non-violent non-cooperative, violent non-cooperative like the Hulk. Anyway, there is no backstage for non-cooperative, so the cliff can defeat all disobedient forces below the atmosphere. But they were still driven around the world, hiding in slums under cover. And now, with Evanson's strength, 30 questions a day, persisting for 3 to 4 years, he can deal with Captain America. If you come across the Green Giant, it's better to quickly tie a soul stone for yourself. Identity and status. What is the identity and status of an orphan who grew up in an orphanage? There are no more than 20 people who know you. As for the backstage, I don't know if the Burning Legion counts as his backstage. If it does, he may die a bit faster. This is much more evil than a Hydra. So now Evanson's decision is to be a low-key person. At least until he has the strength of Captain America, he doesn't want to attract anyone's attention. Sigh, looking at the running under the sunset, it's my proud dream that has passed away. Thinking that there would never be that kind of thing again, the man nodded and bowed his head, feeling mentally disabled. The woman was impressed by her own love life, and Evanson couldn't help but lament again. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Melinda and Colson. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Melinda and Colson, May. Melinda. In New York, a red vintage convertible sports car is speeding on the road. The white man driving shouted to the Asian woman in the passenger seat. The Asian woman was obviously distracted just now, and the man shouted for a while before realizing, "Colson, what's going on? You're not in a good state, we're on field work," complained the man named Colson. "It doesn't matter, anyway I don't want to go out again," Melinda said absent-mindedly. "Hi, I know, May. That incident had a big impact on you, but I hope you're not always immersed in the past. You have to pick yourself up." Upon hearing Melinda's answer, Colson knew that his old friend was still immersed in the pain of that mission, so he spoke out to comfort him. "Okay, I know, I'll find a way to adjust, but I need time, Melinda said in a low voice. That's good, but for now you need to complete this task first. This is your last field trip before the holiday, Colson said to Melinda while driving. Upon hearing Colson's words, Melinda's face turned strange. Don't say that, I heard that people who say that have died in missions. I'm not interested, but I don't want to die yet. Really? Who did you hear that? Colson asked strangely. The plot in novels and movies is usually like this, Melinda replied. Huh, I didn't expect you to joke too. Colson was a bit surprised, but being able to joke is a good thing, which means that although his old friend is still in pain, he will eventually come out. Believing in the plot in novels and movies is not the way the SHID agents did it, Colson said with a smile. Yes, they are agents of the Divine Shield Bureau, and their level is not low. If we were filming a movie now, the visuals would definitely freeze on the faces of the two of them, and then there would be a bunch of subtitles written on them. Phil. Colson, the 7th Special Agent of the Divine Shield Bureau, Nick, the Director of the Divine Shield Bureau. Fry's capable subordinates, as well as one of the most trusted subordinates, possess strong organizational and operational abilities, proficient in firearms and combat, as well as driving various modes of transportation. Melinda. May, a Level 7 agent of the Divine Shield Bureau and a Chinese American, is an experienced soldier, spy, fighter, and pilot. At the age of 7, she was taken by Peggy Carter, the lover of Captain America, valued it and recruited it to the Divine Shield Bureau. After the Bahrain incident, he was nicknamed Iron Cavalry. Of course, if you dare to shout in front of her like that, you should be prepared to be beaten half paralyzed by her. Tell me, what is the mission this time? Did the terrorists in the Middle East transport nuclear warheads to New York, or did they send cholera emails, or did the terrorist leaders personally come to New York? Melinda said these terms in a nonchalant tone, which could cause large-scale riots among ordinary people. Finally, a sentence was added, I hope there won't be any hostages. No, there are no terrorists, no nuclear bombs, no cholera, and no hostages, Colson replied lightly. Ha, really? Without these, I don't think it's necessary for us 2 senior agents to come forward and let the operation team below handle it. Isn't that enough? Melinda said she didn't have any nuclear warheads, no biological or chemical weapons, and even accompanied the old lady to come forward. Did all the little ones below die? Ah, listen, this mission may not be as exciting, but it's a bit special. It's better to be cautious. These are mission materials, Colson said as he handed Melinda a stack of documents with red envelopes. Level 6 permissions. It seems a bit special, Melinda said with a raised eyebrow as she looked at the red cover. Then I opened the file and started reading it. What is this? The owner of Richter's treasure shop. A talisman seller, why are our Divine Shield Bureau going to crack down on feudal superstition? Melinda said incredulously. A file with level 6 permissions actually introduces a street-side shop, which sells various amulets. Oh my god, is this finally because the Divine Shield Bureau has set this kind of thing as a level 6 permission because the world is too peaceful and boring? Even if he manufactures and sells counterfeit goods, deceives consumers, forcefully buys and sells, occupies land and operates, and collides with porcelain, can this matter be handed over to the police station for handling soon? Is it necessary to use the Divine Shield Bureau to come out? Should it be set as level 6 permissions? My brother, don't you mention the possibility of 1 or 2,000 deaths. Do you mean to set it as level 6 permission? Keep reading, Colson said without hesitation. Melinda also felt that Nick Fury wouldn't suddenly shrink his brain and undergo cerebellar puncture, giving him a level 6 permission for anything. Maybe there is another world in this small shop. For example, there is a dirty bomb hidden in the basement, the amulet he sells actually contains a biochemical virus, or he himself is a major terrorist leader who has planned and guided multiple terrorist events. I can't see it. It's too normal. Orphans stay in the orphan director until they are 14 years old. Then they open this shop. They have normal registered residence, normal insurance, and normal police records. Melinda turned over the documents and looked at them. But the more she read them, the more she couldn't understand them. The more she saw them, the more she felt normal. They have normal registered residence, full insurance, and no suspicious records in the police station. There was no group fight. It can be said that the other party is completely a law-abiding citizen. Where is the nuclear bomb? Where is the biochemical virus? You're not teasing me, are you? Haha. Colson chuckled twice as he looked at Melinda's puzzled expression, but it made her very unhappy. Hi, Colson, I know you must know something, but if you hadn't said it earlier, your arm might have been in plaster. Okay, I'll say it now, Colson said without any backbone in the face of Melinda's threat. He did indeed leave the orphanage at the age of 14, but is it normal for him to leave the orphanage at 14? Leaving the orphanage at 14 is indeed too early, at least for 2 more years. The document states that he actually has a distant relative who wants him to inherit the inheritance, Melinda said as she flipped through the document. The orphans in the orphanage suddenly inherited a large inheritance. Please, this seems like a plot from a fairy tale, Colson joked. Perhaps it's just such a coincidence, Melinda said, dissatisfied with Colson's teasing tone. However, it is also true that inheriting an inheritance may sound mysterious, but it is not without probability. His inheritance is 800 gold coins. After donating 300 coins to the orphanage, he left with the rest. Does anyone still consider gold coins as a universal currency these days? Colson continued. Gold coins. Maybe it's a special hobby. It's not in US dollars, not in euros, pounds, but in gold coins, which is a bit strange, but it can't be said that there's a problem. Besides, 800 gold coins are indeed quite a lot, but not too many, according to the standards of the Divine Shield Bureau. But we never found his distant relative. Colson finally revealed the most suspicious part. Unexpectedly, no one was found to inherit the inheritance. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Mutants. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Mutants. A decent inheritance, but there is no heir. So where did these gold coins come from? This easily reminds people of theft, robbery, and murder. Or it could be a series of disharmonious events, such as theft turning into robbery and escalating into murder. However, as government agents, Melinda's response to this was, "Oh, what's next? Are you joking? Stealing, robbing, and murdering, all these damn things. He robs civilians to go to the police station, robs billionaires to the FBI, robs politicians to the CIA, even if he robs the president, there is the Secret Service, and is it related to the Shendon Bureau? Take a look at his medical records." Colson clearly didn't care about the issue of inheritance. No medical records, no cases, complete medical insurance but never seen a doctor, Melinda said as she flipped through the documents. What does this mean? He has never been sick before. Colson laughed. How could a normal person not get sick? Even if you're not suffering from blood mold, cancer, leukemia, or other terminal illnesses. You always have a cold and fever, right? If not, then it's always possible for you to have a bad stomach. Maybe he's too healthy, Melinda replied. A 20-year-old person has never been to a hospital, although it's strange, it's not too unacceptable. Maybe they are born with strong resistance, or they just need to drink 2 glasses of hot water to treat minor illnesses such as colds and coughs. He still lives on 6th Street in Brooklyn, Colson continued. 6th Street. Melinda seemed to have found something and sent the document forward a few pages. Aha, he didn't even report to the police, and the police didn't have any investigation records. It looks a bit interesting. Brooklyn 6th Street can be said to be the cancer of Brooklyn, because it is the largest black organization in the entire Brooklyn area and the place where the Dead End Gang is most active. There are behaviors such as forced collection of protection fees, robbery, and drug trafficking rampant there. There are at least a few residents and shops there, dealing with the Hesse Society and the police station. But this information shows that the other party has never reported to the police, and the store is running smoothly. In this case, it may be because the other party is timid and afraid of being robbed and dares not report to the police, and they are paying huge protection fees. However, for this kind of soft guy, the dead end helps this third-rate organization. Yes, the third-rate organization collects protection fees on the street, and high-end organizations have listed companies, always takes the last penny of valuable things and kicks him out of Brooklyn. However, it seems that his shop is still very stable, so there is another possibility that the shop owner is actually the leader of the hidden dead-end gang behind the scenes. Well, it's very likely that his small shop selling talismans doesn't seem to have a thriving business. He doesn't hesitate to speak on 6th Street, but instead hires 4 clerks and keeps a dog. A tall and muscular man standing around 2 meters tall, a seductive child host, a quiet and chubby man, and a sharp-tongued and talkative dwarf, as well as a benchmark in the second-tier world, husky. And the most ridiculous thing is that only the dog's registered residence is normal. Yes, only the dog's registered residence is handled in a regular way, and the vaccine is regularly administered. According to the intelligence, the identity of the other 4 people is determined by local snakeheads. This is really not as good as dogs as humans. Dead End Gang, what's behind him? Melinda said confidently. The Dead End Gang is a cancer in Brooklyn, but for the Divine Shield, at most it's just a mosquito block. If you want to get it done, make them kneel and sing Conquest within a day. There is absolutely no need for these 2 senior agents to come forward, unless they have connections with large overseas organizations and want to follow the trend, catch big fish with long lines, and catch all the organizations behind them. None of them, the Dead End Gang is just an ordinary third-rate organization, and our goals have nothing to do with the Dead End Gang, Colson affirmed. Melinda closed the document and said calmly, Colson, you are one of my few friends. Then she continued in the puzzled eyes of the other person, if you suddenly die or get seriously injured, I will be very sad. After that, she clenched her fists with a crackling sound. Oh, okay, May, don't get too excited, Colson comforted himself with a guilty conscience, and then said everything he knew. We've caused trouble for him in the dead end, including the last time we went to 5 groups, but each time ended in a mysterious disappearance. And he took out his phone. This was recorded by our informant during the last operation. Melinda took her phone and opened the video to watch, but the content inside surprised her. In the video, there is a man in his 20s who cannot see his appearance clearly due to backlighting. He grabbed the neck of a bald black man with his left hand, who struggled desperately but couldn't break free from the man's control. Immediately after, the man extended his right hand, and a strange purple light began to emanate from the black man's head, gathering towards that hand. When the purple light stopped, the black man also stopped struggling, seemingly dead. Suddenly, a burst of green flames enveloped the black man's entire body, and in less than a second, the black man turned into ashes. What is this? A mutant. Melinda said in shock. She knows that there are some special people in this world who have abilities that ordinary people do not have. Just like her mission in Bahrain, the target was a little girl whose abilities were out of control. She had no choice but to kill the target, but the fact that she had killed the child dealt her a great blow. It was unexpected that she saw the existence of a mutant soon after. Maybe it's not confirmed yet, Colson said. The person sent is mysteriously missing, and even the body has not been found, which makes the Dead End Gang hesitant to provoke that small shop. However, every time the boss of the Dead End Gang changes people, he wants to take this small shop and prove that he is more powerful than his predecessor. Our informant is a middle-level member of the Dead End Gang, and he knows that that night, the new boss will send someone to find the trouble with that small shop. At the same time, he is very curious about what is going on. So a few days ago, he secretly placed a DV in a hidden place around the small shop, and then recorded these. No wonder it's set at level 6, Melinda said seriously, but suddenly remembered something. Colson, we should gather an action team. The opponent is either a mutant or has some special ability. If he suddenly poses a challenge, the two of us may not be able to control it for a while. It's a residential area. Isn't that right? It's like a robber breaking into the downtown area, and 2 small police officers are sent to deal with him. Do you want to use this method to support family planning and control population growth? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Richter Baibao Store. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Richter Baibao Store. Mutant people always have some special abilities, either powerful, secretive, or strange, and of course, there are also pure ones used for humor. Those with small strength are almost no different from ordinary people, but it is not an exaggeration to say that they are tactical nuclear weapons. And this time, the Deadpool gang sent 5 groups of people back and forth to trouble him, each with a number ranging from 2 to 20 people. But every time it ended in complete annihilation. Although the gang thugs were seen as having impressive combat abilities by the agents, they were also more than a dozen adults holding knives, pliers, and pistols, not more than a dozen carnivorous chickens. So his ability should not be too weak, and from the video, it can be clearly seen that he has the ability to control the fire, and the temperature of the fire is not low, as he can instantly turn a black man into ashes. You should know that burning people to ashes is not just about splashing gasoline and igniting them. Military flamethrowers cannot achieve this, and this requires the use of professional crematoriums that burn for a long time. If you want to complete it in an instant, you probably need to use aluminum thermal combustion aids. That kind of thing can burn the Terminator. In Bahrain, a little girl who lost control of her abilities turned dozens of people into walking corpses, leaving her to live or die. And now he is facing an adult, and from the current application, it appears that he should be very proficient in controlling his own abilities, and his abilities are also very direct, with a high-temperature flame. The most serious thing is that his location indicates a residential area surrounded by innocent civilians. If he cannot be immediately controlled before taking action, his ability to mobilize may cause a huge fire. As for innocent people being implicated in causing civilian deaths, it is foreseeable. Based on the above situation, when Agent Melinda learned about the target intelligence, she immediately thought of mobilizing an action team. It would be best to have the sniper shoot him down from 800 meters away, or to have 3 people with light machine guns rush in and turn him into a hornet's nest before the opponent could react. And we also need to drop 2 fire brigades on standby to prevent accidents. Don't be so nervous, it's not without a reason for the 2 of us to go up there. Colson didn't feel like the situation was that serious when he went, and besides, there were arrangements in place. Director Fry. That's what he thinks. Melinda also reflected that the level 6 incident was not decided at once. It must have been carefully considered. Besides, she didn't offend him except when she was 10 years old and said Nick Fry's head looked like a soy egg. There was no reason to kill herself. It's like this, from an intelligence perspective, our target should be able to control his own power well, and he hasn't abused it. If it weren't for this coincidence, perhaps no one would have known he had superpowers. Besides these members who actively provoked his dead-end helpers, he hasn't killed anyone else, and there hasn't been a strange fire nearby. Colson spoke with ease, but Agent Melinda clearly doesn't have that much patience. Just say the conclusion directly. The interrupted Colson didn't get angry and said directly, he can control his strength, restrain himself, and has no antisocial tendencies, so after research, his likelihood of being harmless is relatively high. Maybe. Melinda felt that this statement was not certain enough and was not what a senior agent should say. Of course, this is only a preliminary study, and the final result is what we have done after interacting with him. This should be considered an on-site investigation. Although there is preliminary research, it is still better to find an experienced agent to have a face-to-face conversation. What if the conclusion is harmless? As a member of the cavalry regiment in charge of combat, Melinda was only exposed to harmful targets, and the disposal process for harmless targets is not yet clear. If it's harmless, register it, check your abilities, and also warn him that it's best to continue to maintain his current state and not act recklessly. We will conduct regular inspections and ensure peace and security. So the conversation between the two ended, and as for what to do if it was defined as a harmful target, Colson didn't say it, and Melinda didn't ask such a stupid question. Because the answer is so obvious, it's as simple as 3 words that sparkle with humanitarian brilliance. Kill him. Richter Baibao Store, a storefront with a 7-year history. This is a very special shop that sells various amulets or things related to mysticism. There are common crosses, 6-pointed stars, as well as Buddha statues and gossip from the East. And other non-mainstream ones, such as brightly colored voodoo masks, giant totem poles, and grass skirt dolls. Although there are many types and shop owners will tell their various legends, they all have a common point, which is counterfeit goods. Although most of the divine amulets in the world are fake and imagined by mortals. However, it is evident that counterfeit goods here have not yet risen to this philosophical level. Because they have a lower level, they are fake in terms of material. For example, the golden cross is gilded with lead, and the jade Buddha statue is made of glass. Of course, their prices will be significantly cheaper compared to genuine products. This is also the reason why this store was not sued for deceiving consumers. After all, if you buy something for a quarter of the price of a genuine product, it is either fake or stolen. If you still come to buy it, it cannot be considered as deception. Of course, there are also people who want to make a mistake. These people are found all over the world and are not a specialty of a particular country. As for why you don't know, it's a simple answer. Because there hasn't been a media outlet yet that has the brain to make this kind of thing international news. However, this type of person is quite brain-reliant, especially in the 6th block area. So when they inquired a little about this small shop, they didn't even dare to easily provoke the dead-end gang. It seemed like there were still people and horses involved, and after weighing their own weight, they were all ruined by this idea. As for the owner of this Richter Baibao store, is it our protagonist Elson? Richter is also. He left the orphanage and opened this shop at the age of 14, just 1 month after awakening. The reason why he left so quickly is not because he doesn't care about old relationships, but because he believes that he will eventually bid farewell to the lives of ordinary people. It is time that if he is too deeply bound to this orphanage, it will actually involve them in some dangerous things. So it's better to leave early than to experience short-term pain. Then he believed in the evil of the real estate agency and bought this storefront. Because he had no understanding of the social situation outside, he was deceived by a hyped-up salesperson and bought this storefront located in a neighborhood plagued by gangs, and then he was found in trouble. In fact, Colson's intelligence is not accurate. The dead-end gang did indeed assign 5 groups of people, but this does not mean that only the dead-end gang members came to cause trouble. There are also some thieves, robbers, and the like who will come in through the window at night. However, I want to thank these unlucky people for their selfless dedication, which has made significant progress in Elson's sorcerer magic. At the very least, he simulated casting for 3 to 5 years, providing ample opportunities for experimentation rather than imagination, as well as currency for trading with void demons. And once again, thanks to their souls, he had the necessary item for sorcerers to travel from home, the devil baby. But to be honest, when I first summoned you, I was really excited and relieved, but it wasn't until today that I realized I had done something wrong in my previous life, and now I have received this retribution. Evanson looked at the people standing in a row from high to low in front of him. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Devils are useless. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Devils are useless. Looking at the combination of people and dogs standing from high to low in front of him, Evanson initially felt angry from the bottom of his heart and evil towards the edge of his gallbladder. But ultimately it was replaced by a deep sense of powerlessness. I can't help but do it myself. I didn't think much before summoning them. After all, how can a sorcerer not have a baby? Isn't this like filling a cake with eggs without eggs? But after summoning, I realized that I was outrageously wrong. Firstly, our tall man, who has already surpassed 2 meters in height, can be said to have surpassed human aesthetic standards in terms of appearance. He is covered in tendons and flesh, with various scars, and his appearance is a terrifying sight. In short, it's the kind of person who throws it onto the street and doesn't do anything, and if a normal person sees it, they will call the police. As soon as they stand at the entrance of the small police station, the police officers inside will have their stomachs twisted and immediately call for support. His true identity is a demon guard named Taylor, who is skilled in using and trying out an arcane axe. He has rich combat experience and is crazy. If he tries hard, he can also use a few moves against the Hulk. He can be considered Evanson's most powerful pet at present. But this elder brother's creed is that life is a battle, and seeing people is like chopping and chopping. Depending on who doesn't like it, he can charge forward and use the gold axe to cut people in half vertically or horizontally. In a bad or too good mood, there is a possibility of vertical chopping and horizontal chopping. So after the excitement of successfully summoning passed, the placement issue really gave Evanson a headache for a while. Fortunately, with the master-servant contract in place, he did not go around chopping people under Evanson's command. But don't think he'll be of any other use. After all, a demon guard doesn't seem to know anything other than combat. So now he's just acting as a bodyguard in the store. Apart from occasionally using his 2-meter-tall and muscular physique and ferocious appearance to intimidate the hooligans on the street, he's just sitting on a recliner watching the entertainment show, and he doesn't do anything else. Evanson's evaluation of this is that it is truly an ancestor. Next, who is the second in the queue, Ms. Sarah. This lady is called a demon. Not only does she have a demon-like figure, but she also exudes an attraction to male animals from all over her body. Not to mention her heavy makeup, even a seductive glance when she is bare-faced can make you feel soft all over. As for her true identity, I don't say you probably guessed it too. She is just a succubus. As for the weapon, it's a very Queen's black whip, with just enough combat power to make a living. If it's tough, Captain America can also take it down. However, she is not skilled in combat. Her expertise lies in using stealth skills to launch surprise attacks from behind enemies, or using enchantment skills to disrupt enemies, thereby creating attack opportunities for sorcerers or other demons. Because she is the only female demon and relatively intelligent, Evanson assigned her to be responsible for cooking and household chores. She used to work part-time as a cashier. But due to the appearance that harms the country and the people, the famous, well, and not very famous Richter treasure shop was almost seen as a hidden door. Evanson has been asked more than once by some sleazy guys, how much does that woman cost for a night and so on. Usually, when a succubus encounters someone who wants to have a fight, it gladly agrees and, at their happiest moment, absorbs their vitality and soul. But Sarah's reaction was to kick that person's balls because she was a lesbian. Yes, this seductive little girl who has a great new attraction to most men is actually a lesbian with a unique personality. Evanson's evaluation of this is that a damn chicken thinks it can get away with it. The third one is Du Men, who is generally gloomy and chubby. He doesn't have any special appearance, but rather has a round and dark complexion. The main body is the Void Walker, commonly known as the Blue Fatty. The characteristic of this demon, which has no flesh or blood and is entirely composed of shadow elements, is that it is particularly resistant to beating and can make others want to beat him. A glance from him can make you feel that he owes you at least 8 million and has no intention of repaying it. This is the use of Void Walkers, using their anti-beating characteristics to crazily mock enemies, allowing them to focus their attention on themselves, and then allowing their warlock masters to take advantage of the opportunity to deal tons of damage. Sometimes, he would also allocate a portion of himself to become the wizard's shield. In short, he is a defensive demon. In his usual behavior, he just doesn't show any behavior. It's common for him not to say a word a day, and staying in a place for a day is also a minor issue. Once, Evanson didn't pay attention. That guy actually stood in the corner of the wall for 3 days without moving. If it weren't for Evanson remembering, he could have stood even longer. So what do you expect this lazy guy with terminal cancer spreading all over the body and severe autism to do? Evanson commented on this. Fortunately, this chubby guy doesn't eat. The 4th place is a husky. Sigh, didn't you say there were 4 people and 1 dog? Why is the dog here? Yes, it's 4 people plus 1 dog, but don't forget, I'm introducing it in order of height. Yes, dogs are not the shortest. This husky, needless to say, is a hellhound named Hobbs, skilled in energy absorption and tracking. In the real world, it warns against strangers or people with hostile tendencies around it. As for the rest, what do you expect a husky to do? Evanson's evaluation of this is not to be deceived by his silly appearance as a second rate. After you receive the luxury dog food on delivery, you can't tell the courier that it was ordered by my dog. Alright, the last one is a pointed-nosed dwarf, 2 centimeters shorter than that husky. The most common saying is that I want to burn through your knees, and Yao Ming's words can only be on your calves. Its essence is a little ghost named Quipuxi. Little ghosts have a very fragile body and are naturally timid. But in reality, these creatures are very evil and cruel, especially when they appear in groups. And they themselves have a natural affinity for flames. Seemingly weak little ghosts can unleash fireball spells comparable to mages. Some powerful little ghosts can rival great mages, but of course, they only know this type of spell. And if they appear in groups, their courage seems to be enhanced and they become quite fearless. They will launch suicide attacks and charge towards the enemy to self-destruct. In order to avoid being complained about abusing disabled people, Evanson did not give him any work, and of course, his height without a shelf height was also one of the reasons. According to Evanson's evaluation, who can tell me why such a small thing has such a large appetite? Devil pets, they should have been my right assistants, but now they have become my servants. Fortunately, I have a way, or they will really eat poor. Evanson roast. Of course, this small shop clearly cannot sustain the livelihood of Evanson and this large family. His methods are diverse, such as robbing those who robbed him and buying stocks in Stark Industries. The most important thing is that he took a different approach, exchanging his soul for gold coins when other sorcerers exchanged their souls for knowledge and power from demons. Imagine, in the mysterious voice of a demon, do you crave power, mortal? Do you crave knowledge? As long as you offer sacrifices, I can give them to you. But the other side took out a soul crystal and said, do you have any gold coins or gemstones? Devil, no, Evanson said, goodbye, next one. The demon said, alas, wait a moment, that power. Evanson said, sorry for the rush, I hung up. The devil said, alas, wait for that matter of power. Alas, I chow, where are these crazy sorcerers from? Just as Evanson was worried, his Richter treasure store finally welcomed the first batch of customers for today. A man and a woman walked in, and Evanson's eyes suddenly lit up. Yeah, today is considered open. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Great God Father King Lama of Wudang Mountain's office in Shaolin Temple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Great God and King Lama of Wudang Mountain's office in Shaolin Temple. Is it none other than Phil who came in? Agent Colson and Melinda. Agent May. After the two of them arrived at this so-called Richter's treasure shop, they were also really startled. For no other reason, there are talismans of all religions that can be found on earth here, and the three major religions naturally go without saying. Hinduism, Taoism, Judaism, and Voodoo also have everything they need. Of course, they know each other, and there are many others they don't know. For example, the totem pole that stands tall for one person has an Indian style, but its sign card reads, "May the Great Mother bless you." There are also those brightly colored voodoo masks that look very much like primitive tribes in the rainforest, marked with the words, "Voodoo will last forever, black arrows follow people." There is also a necklace next to it that reads "Power and Glory, Blood and Thunder." It is a bone necklace for the tribe, similar to the hanging ornaments of ancient barbarian warriors, usually made from enemy bones. Just like the one in front of her, Melinda, with her years of experience, can tell at a glance that this absolute is not a human bone, but a fake made of cow bone. Due to work requirements, Colson and Melinda have gained an understanding of cultures and religious beliefs around the world. So when I suddenly saw so many things that I didn't recognize, I was quite curious and couldn't help but take 2 more glances. It doesn't matter if you don't look, I was startled to see that all the products here are fake. For example, Colson is holding a finely crafted top-grade cold jade glass Buddha with a smile on his face. 0. Just as Colson and Melinda were amazed by the fake craftsmanship of the jade Buddha, "Can you believe that the jade will fade?" A passionate voice came from behind. "It seems that you have a connection with this Buddha statue." This Buddha statue is not simple. The two of them turned around and saw a handsome young man walking over, ready to promote this Buddha statue according to his words. "A Buddha statue that can fade is really not easy," Colson said with a smile, showing the green color in his hand. This person was naturally in a hurry to open Evanson. He looked at the color in Colson's palm, without any embarrassment or shame. Instead, he said seriously, "God is a transcendent existence, and he doesn't care what material his idol is made of. As long as someone close to God blesses him, he can protect people's safety." Colson and Melinda laughed inwardly and said to themselves, "Your serious and nonsensical ability is very much in line with the style of our generation. Can this Buddha statue also be blessed by someone close to the gods?" Of course, this was blessed by a great master from China in the distant east, and it was called Kaiguang, in the local area. Evanson replied solemnly and positively. Colson glanced at Melinda, a Chinese American, and said meaningfully, "China," before sincerely asking, "Who is this expert?" "Yeah. Who is that master?" "We really want to know," Melinda added in a timely manner. Although she lives in the United States, she has not fallen behind in her hometown's culture. She really wants to know what else the fake seller in front of her can argue about. This was personally consecrated by the great god, Father Wang, and Lama of the Wudang mountain office in Shaolin Temple, so guests, this Buddha statue is truly remarkable. Evanson said in a profound and mysterious sentence, not exceeding 4 or 6. However, it is still okay to deal with ordinary Americans. After all, they don't know what the relationship between Shaolin Temple and Wudang Mountain is. They just feel that such a large number of titles are particularly awesome, so they are confused. Of course, if the Buddha statue does not fade, its persuasiveness will be stronger. Sure enough, Colson and Melinda were knocked unconscious by this seemingly impressive title. However, what Colson was thinking was that even the faded Buddha statue could be said so eloquently, and there was no one left. Melinda, on the other hand, was thinking that this guy must have been burned out by his own abilities, otherwise he would have been a teaser. Or maybe he was a teaser and burned his brain. "Are you not afraid of those immortals fighting?" Melinda said. Upon hearing this sentence, even with Evanson's face, she had to awkwardly turn her back because Melinda spoke standard Mandarin Chinese. It's like pretending to force someone to tie their hair and be reborn, only to find out that the other person is the great sage of Qi Tian. It's a slap in the face. However, as Evanson turned around, he happened to see his husky lying on the ground looking at him, his left front leg pulling twice on the ground, and his tail swinging 3 times behind him. Evanson immediately received information that the 2 people behind him each had 3 guns. He suddenly felt that he couldn't open today. Also, although the dog's behavior of making secret signals through some small actions is cool, in reality, the information is sent by this hellhound through soul connections. God Buddha in the sky, who knows that one is real? Let's just choose a letter first, maybe it will work. It seemed that the other party didn't intend to buy their own things, and Evanson's tone lost its previous enthusiasm, but instead showed a hint of arrogance. Feeling the change in the other person's tone, both Colson and Melinda were secretly alert. Regardless of whether the other party becomes angry due to failed sales or discovers something, as a spy, one must prepare for the worst. However, on the surface, it doesn't show that, I might have complained about you deceiving consumers. Perhaps, but I haven't seen a consumer shopping with 3 guns. Evanson walked straight behind his counter and onto a chair. And his group of disguised adult demon pets slowly gathered around, especially the demon guard Taylor, who had been watching TV all along. Feeling that someone might be able to chop, he immediately jumped up from the lounge chair, clenched his fists with a crackling sound, and walked over with a grin. All right, let's all disperse. Just as these demons were about to rush forward and take down these 2 humans, their master suddenly stopped. Sarah, close the door. We're closed now. I need to have a good conversation with these 2 guests. The clever approach prevented them from getting hurt, Melinda said after Taylor and the others left. She has great confidence in her fighting skills, thinking that among those people just now, Taylor was the only one who was a bit tricky, and that woman and the fat guy could easily handle it. What? 2 more. Please, Colson is not a dead person. Although he may not be as good at fighting as himself, he can still deal with huskies. As for that dwarf, I'm afraid of accidentally stepping on him. Maybe, Evanson appeared noncommittal on the surface. Believe it or not, this husky lying on the ground now can bite you to death. Damn it, this guy ignored his commands and continued to lie on the ground sunbathing, relying on himself as a dog. However, I am even more curious about your identity. Ordinary people wouldn't come out shopping with 3 guns each. And the dead-end gang wouldn't dress as neatly as you. Evanson looked at Colson in a suit and shoes, and Melinda in a suit and pants, who looked handsome. There are no such people in the dead-end gang. Those people feel like they don't have many holes in their bodies and are too embarrassed to call themselves gangsters without wearing a few rings. So, Evanson felt that it was very likely that the other party was from government agencies, the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. After all, he burned many people to ashes. Although he did it very cleanly, after all, someone went missing. Although the members of the dead-end gang may not report to the police, the families of lone robbers and thieves may. So Evanson is not surprised or afraid that it will attract the attention of these departments, as there is no evidence at all. How can we provide evidence without a body, weapon, or witness? So Evanson doesn't care about the FBI and CIA, what really matters to him is, I am Agent Tefel Colson from the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, and this is Agent Melinda May, Colson said, showing his identification. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Contact. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Contact the National Land Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, also known as the Divine Shield Bureau. From its name, it can be seen that it has the right to intervene in everything related to national security, including attack, defense, logistics, and so on. From police catching thieves to nuclear bombs being transported to the White House, they are all within its jurisdiction. The official establishment time of the Divine Shield Bureau, like its rival Hydra, was during World War II. But this is almost the organization of 2 sides of a coin, and their history can be traced back to the ancient Egyptian civilization period. In my opinion, their goals are almost identical, to safeguard the safety of people around the world, but there are huge differences in ideology. The Divine Shield Bureau believes that the people of the world not only need safety but also freedom, and that the people should control the world. The nine-headed snake's philosophy is to have a strong leader lead everything, and people must sacrifice freedom in order to achieve safety. Everyone in the world is like a zombie attached to their mother. However, these two organizations with huge differences have the same attitude towards threats, which is to eliminate them. Of course, the lower limit of the Divine Shield game will be slightly higher than that of the Hydra. Well, what game was that? Can you say it again? Or could you abbreviate it? This was Evanson's first reaction when he heard about this super impressive department. This is not just him pretending, it's mainly the name of the National Land Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. In English, there are at least 30 sounds, which are almost tongue twisters. Most people can't even remember it after listening to it. More than one person has complained like this. You can also call us the Divine Shield Bureau. Colson shrugged. Evanson shrugged and said, okay, just by obeying the name, I think this department is high.end. I don't know why you're looking for me as a small business person. He was prepared to have contact with the Divine Shield Bureau sooner or later, but being found so early was somewhat unexpected. Thinking of this, he looked at Husky lying on the ground and felt his master's gaze. Husky shrugged his nose and wagged his tail twice behind him. Evanson lost the information, only these two people and no one else. Once again, it is stated that this is a message sent from the soul connection and has nothing to do with the tail-wagging action. There are only two people, it seems that they are not planning to capture and slice themselves. And now, Evanson finally remembered who these two people were in front of him. Phil Colson, the right-hand man of Nick Fury, the director of the Divine Shield Bureau, was known as the template for agents and eventually became the director of the Divine Shield Bureau. And Melinda. May, on the other hand, is a close comrade of Colson, but in the future, the level of the agent will be one level higher than Colson's. After all, it has been 20 years, and it would be great to remember how the plot developed, let alone the appearance of the characters. Not to mention these two relatively unknown agents, Captain America or Thor. If they were wearing uniforms, they would definitely be recognized by themselves. If they were wearing casual clothes, who knows which onion they are. The Divine Shield Bureau has always been committed to protecting the security of the world, and based on this philosophy, the most important thing is to prevent people from knowing news that they are not yet prepared to know. We are a line of defense, standing between the world and the more eerie world. Colson introduced the concept of the Divine Shield Bureau and then stared at Evanson, saying, "So we found you." Evanson turned his head and said, selling counterfeit goods is considered eerie. Selling counterfeit goods is not a big deal, but it's strange to say that selling counterfeit goods is all too flashy. However, no, we didn't come to you because of this, but Melinda said, and Colson, who was next to her, took the conversation and handed over a phone. Can you explain this video and how the dead end helped some people go missing? Evanson took his phone and glanced at it, which was the scene where he had drained the souls of a member of the Dead End gang and then burned them to ashes. Then he dialed the video forward again and found that the thing that filmed the video should have been there for a period of time, and from an angle, that place should be a garbage dump. No wonder Hobbs didn't notice, it seems like he's been treated like garbage. Damn it, when I come back, I'll flush out your luxurious dog food in the toilet. Feeling the malice of his master, Husky, named Hobbs, who was lying on the ground, immediately let out a pitiful whimper, meaning that you can decide when you arrive at lousy. Who is afraid of who? Without time to argue with his dog, Evanson handed his phone back and said, I didn't expect to take a picture and it looks pretty cool. Maybe I should go to Hollywood so I can save a lot of special effects fees. Smooth-tongued. Melinda cursed and continued, don't you understand why we're looking for you now? Wow, even now. Evanson stretched lazily on the chair and exaggerated, saying, according to movies or novels, it should be because you were amazed by my bones and wanted to recruit me at all costs, or think that I was a threat to get rid of me. Then, I used various skills and organized a battle of wits and bravery like the military and police to escape the tiger's mouth. Then, I alone killed the enemy headquarters, destroyed this evil organization, and also colluded with a beautiful agent of the other party. After speaking, he raised an eyebrow at Melinda, as if saying you were the beautiful spy. Is it true that you are the god of selling counterfeit goods? Your imagination is rich enough, but unfortunately, it's not like that. It's true that you are a spy template. Faced with Evanson's imaginative remarks, as well as being compared to *** military police and evil organizations, you can still maintain a calm smile. Which way? Does it mean I can't get along with her? Evanson said in surprise. None of them. Melinda was not angered by Evanson's frivolous tone and answered as if nothing had happened. As a senior agent, how could such words stir up emotions? Really? Don't the American people really like this kind of thing? Evanson seemed surprised, but then said, but just thinking about it, as a senior intelligence agency, it's impossible to recruit someone just because they have some special abilities, especially. A flame shot out of Evanson's finger, it immediately extinguished, especially with my special ability, it's as dangerous as bringing a bomb that could explode at any moment into my own interior. The analysis makes a lot of sense, so we're here to get rid of you. Colson asked, get rid of me? What did I do wrong? Killed a few gangsters who entered the house for robbery. According to the court's judgment, I was also in self-defense, but I didn't use a gun. Evanson narrowed his eyes. Moreover, even if you plan to play the essence of the Gestapo, it's impossible for only 2 people to come, especially after knowing what abilities I have. How do you know we're only 2 people? Melinda stared sharply at Evanson. Evanson's hands intertwined to support his chin, and he retaliated with the same gaze, I just know. P.S. I hope everyone can read my novels and have a feeling of watching movies. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. I am a warlock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. I am a warlock. How did he know? Colson and Melinda exchanged a glance. Evanson's positive attitude actually made these 2 agents a bit confused. Or that question, how did he know there were only the 2 of them now? Colson pondered. Someone inside the Divine Shield Bureau leaked secrets to him. Impossible, this operation has level 6 authority, and both myself and Melinda are level 7 agents. This means that agents below level 6 will not know about this operation, and agents below level 7 will not know about personnel deployment. And the agents who know the details are at least level 7 or above, and these agents are all well tested. Of course, although the possibility is small, there is also a possibility of leakage. However, the cost of letting these senior agents leak information is not something that only a few powerful and ordinary people can afford. So, he not only possesses the ability to control fire, but also has some detection abilities. What could it be? Is it telepathy or range perception? After a brief moment of contemplation, Colson was more inclined towards Evanson's ability to perceive range. After all, if he had telepathy, if he went to Las Vegas to hang out, he would at least have a few $1 million worth of money, instead of guarding a poor small shop here, and the savings in his account were simply pitiful. The answer has been revealed, and even if we persist, it won't be much fun. Indeed, we're just 2 people. We're not here to eliminate or recruit you, we're just here to understand the situation and tell you some things you should know. Is that right? It's a pity, Evanson said with a disappointed expression. Melinda raised her eyes and said, which way? Of course not being recruited, is it a pity that you didn't have a plan to kill me? Evanson looked contemptuously, as if saying that your intelligence was worrying, big sister. Are you planning to join the Divine Shield Bureau? Melinda was somewhat surprised, even ignoring being looked down upon for intelligence. Although there is no intention of soliciting this time, if the other party actively applies, it is not without the possibility of accepting him. After all, his combat effectiveness is still considerable, and the most important thing is his secrecy. For most Divine Shield bureaus that operate in secret, secrecy is crucial. For example, if you want to assassinate a terrorist leader, or if you want to approach a large agent, you must not be fully armed with a light machine gun and a rocket launcher on your back. They usually disguise themselves as the target's connector or some other character, and then hide blades, poison, special handguns, and other things on their bodies, waiting for an opportunity to take action. Although the technology of the Divine Shield Bureau is very advanced, and the skills of the agents are also very skilled, there are still cases of mission failures that are discovered. There were still some quirks, and even after layers of inspection, they ended up being stripped naked, wearing the bathrobe provided by the other party, and meeting through bulletproof glass with the accompaniment of 20 bodyguards. Is this Nima crazy? But with a superpower, it's different. If you strip it all off, even if you give it a sauna or a bath, it's okay because the superpower himself is a weapon. Do you believe it when he spits RPG paste at the mouth? So it is still very attractive for someone with supernatural abilities to join this event. Of course, joining the Divine Shield Bureau is not like joining an American political party, you just need to fill out a form and stamp it. This must go through layers of review and a series of training before it can be done, at least to ensure loyalty and control, which is an iron law that will never be violated. Of course I do. I heard that the salary of the official ape is not low, and my store's performance is not very good. I am planning to find a part-time job. While Melinda and Colson were considering whether to discuss the recruitment matter with Nick Fury after returning, Evanson left such a bloody sentence. Yeah, treat the Divine Shield Bureau like a nightclub and find a part-time job. But now the two of them also understood that joining the Divine Shield Bureau was just a bad joke made by the other party. So Melinda bluntly pointed out her middle finger, "Damn it, I really want to punch your brain out." "Miss Agent, this move is not ladylike," Evanson teased casually. Melinda leaned forward and stared fiercely into Evanson's eyes, saying, "I'll let you know what a lady is. Although it seems like you're about to eat me, I'm really looking forward to it." Evanson shrugged his shoulders, cough cough. At this moment, Colson coughed for a moment. Melinda glanced at him and took a deep breath to adjust her state. After all, there was still something important to do, not fighting here. "Alright, that's all for the joke." Colson adjusted his clothes. "Mr. Richter, we will represent the Divine Shield Agency and ask you some questions. You must answer truthfully. This matter is related to the future attitude of the Divine Shield Agency towards you. Including whether to get rid of me." Evanson raised his eyebrows and asked. "Yes, including whether to remove you." Colson nodded confidently. "Okay, I'll answer truthfully." Evanson also put away his smile and sat up straight. It can be said that he is now the most serious person since Colson and the others entered the house. Very good. Regarding Evanson's cooperation, Colson is very satisfied. So, Mr. Richter, I won't ask about your basic social relationships or anything else. We have detailed information, so let's get to the main point. Evanson spread his hand and said it was meaningless. The Divine Shield Bureau is coming to find me, and I'm sure they have already investigated thoroughly. They probably know what color of underwear I liked to wear when I was a child, so it's better not to ask, so as not to waste time. However, unlike in the spy film, Colson did not take out a folder and compared it to the questions above, and Melinda did not take out a notebook to record all the conversations. This is not that they are not rigorous, but as trained senior agents, they know that some things are much safer in their minds than written on paper. Okay, so Mr. Richter, the first question is, to what extent can you manipulate your special abilities? Colson asked the first question, or is there a possibility of losing control? What about my existing power? Evanson curled his lips and said, 100% control, my power is absolutely subject to my will. Although the answer was very affirmative, Colson clearly did not believe it. It is not uncommon for a psychic to lose control of their abilities, and it is difficult to say which psychic can know their own power as well as completely control it. Please answer Mr. Richter truthfully. It is almost normal for psychics to be unable to fully control their own power and even have the possibility of losing control. We will not do anything to you because of this. A superpower. Aha! I got it, Evanson said with a sudden realization. You must be treating me like those mutated monsters with powers you don't even know or can't control, right? Isn't that right? Colson looked at Evanson in confusion. There's nothing to be ashamed of. In a way, this can be considered. This can be considered an evolution. Perhaps, but I am not, Evanson said with a hint of pride and utmost seriousness. I am a sorcerer, and the power I use is called magic. End of this chapter.